Hello everyone, my name is Corazar, and welcome back to the Vintage Story Guide. We are back in our always raining challenge run of Vintage Story, and everything is looking fine. I'm going to try to be doing our intros from our front door here at our new home. Even though it's not quite our home yet, we don't have a bedroom, so I guess I could just move a bed in here and sleep in here. That might actually make some sense, and I can start moving all of our possessions into our nearby storage room. That might have to happen here soon. Anyway, we are coming in after a long journey through two of our near translocators. 2 episodes ago, we went through our southeast translocator, and we took a big jaunt here and got a lot of information about traders that we'll never visit, as well as some information about ores found underground. And then in the last episode, we went to the TL that takes us to the south to our furniture trader, and we went in a smaller loop until we ran into a luxuries trader. And this is what I wanted to sort of wait for, along with the second aspect of finding that trader, before we go to the Resonance Archives and try to tackle that big challenge. And that is, I want to get into the Iron Age first, because I want to buy the armor from the luxuries trader and fix it up and wear it on our adventure, because we want to feel like a hero of old. We've heard so many stories about people in the past, I guess, who lived in this world, and we want to emulate them. That could be a fun adventure, because we are little hobbits, and having fun on adventures and filling our bellies is what we're all about. So yes, Iron Age, that, is what we're going to get to today. Now, we are not going to enter the Iron Age today, but we are going to make preparations, in fact as many as we can, for getting into the Iron Age. This is going to be probably a 3-step process, probably 1 step per episode. This episode, we're going to be gathering all the things that we need just to get into the Iron Age, just to sort of make our way there. In the next episode, we're going to actually go and acquire some iron ore. And we're going to need a ton of it, because we're going to need a lot of tools and weapons, and a lot of iron for making and fixing our armor. And then in the 3rd episode, we will finally enter the Iron Age and make our first tools and our first weapons, and just start upgrading all of the odds and ends that we just haven't really gotten to. For instance, we are still using this shield, this rickety wicker shield that has actually survived. I have not replaced the shield, I don't think. This is the very first one we made, and it has served us extremely well, but it is getting a bit long in the tooth. So that needs to happen. And in between episodes, I'll be spending some time doing a bit of trading, because the armor we're going to buy is expensive. And I actually just got 10 more gears from a trade with a furniture trader, I think. But we need probably close to about... But we're going to need about 80 or so gears in order to buy our set of armor. And I also would like to have a few more gears to maybe buy the Forlorn Hope S-Stock, if the guy ever gets it in stock. Yeah, get it? The S-Stock in stock. And that could be fun to bring with us. Oh, hello, Bert. So I think we may also have an episode about how to abuse the traders and steal their gears. Well, okay, honestly acquire their gears by trading with them, but we can learn how to buy low and sell high. So, the Iron Age, and getting into it. What do we need? Well, iron is a harder material with a higher melting point than copper or tin or bismuth, and so we will not be able to smelt it in a crucible on a fire. And that's because our coal, our best coal, only burns at 1300 degrees Celsius. But if we look at the handbook here, you will see that iron bits smelt at a temperature of 1482 degrees Celsius. So we can't use our charcoal on the fire pit for that. No, this is similar to glass, where we are going to need to build bloomeries and place them out here in the open or somewhere that we won't accidentally catch fire to our possessions, and we will need to light those and fuel them in order to operate. And each bloomery will only give you 6 iron blooms, which you can then work into 6 iron ingots. So as you can see, we're going to be needing a ton of fire clay bricks, and we have 23. That is enough for 1.92 bloomeries, so we have nowhere near enough fire clay bricks, which means we need to grab a second shovel, and we're going to go and get some more fire clay from our place up on the ridge, up here. Now, I have noticed some wolves hanging around up there on a couple occasions, so I might need to tackle them, but let's go get ourselves some fire clay and bring it home and fire it. And now that we're here, what better way to search for wolves than with a new mod that lets us zoom in. Hop on this tower here, and with this mod called Zoom Button, it acts like a little telescope. And with the press of the Z button, it will zoom in and lower your mouse sensitivity. And it also put this little vignette around, like you are, I guess, making a fake telescope with your thumb and finger. Now, I am not seeing... Oh, there we go. There's the wolves. Or there is a wolf. That's probably a second one right there. I think we might want to go and take care of them at some point. I'm liking this button, though. This is a very nice little mod. I am liking it already, and I've used it for a whole 30 seconds. Let's see. Let's think about taking these guys on, because I don't want them wandering over to my side of this hill. That would be most unfortunate. So let's hop up here and see if we can get an angle on these guys. Of course, my arrows don't go very far. Oh my goodness. There we go. Yeah, there's one down. Hey, number 2. Come on. Get him. There we go. Are there any more? I don't see any. I guess let's go get our shield and our sword out. Oh, wolfies. Are there any more of you over here? Ooh, there are. You're going the wrong direction, my dude. Yep. And that, my friends, is the power of Tier 2 armor. Check out how little damage we took from that wolf. Now, our armor also didn't take much damage. I think we got hit on the body. We have a few points off of our body armor, but that was not bad at all. So yes, before you go tackling wolves, make sure you have some Tier 2 armor. Okay, with that drama over, let's get to some fire clay. Now, since each block of fire clay gets you about 3 to 6 pieces of clay, each use of your shovel represents about 1 fire clay brick. So make sure you have a full or a pretty full shovel, or several shovels if you're still using flint shovels, and get ready to bring back a ton of fire clay. Now, while you're out here, I do recommend, as you get maybe every 1 or every 4 stacks of fire clay, you go ahead and turn them into the raw bricks to compress your inventory. Because when you get probably, I don't know, I might actually dig out most or all of the rest of this deposit and just bring it all back so we have it, because we're going to go through tons and tons and tons of bloomeries as we progress into the Iron Age and beyond. And not just for iron, but also as we get into more glass making, so we can have windows in our house and so on. It is just a good idea to always have fire clay bricks ready to roll. So I'm going to get a whole bunch of this, and then I will see the rest of you on the other side of this gathering operation. Okay, folks, we are back after digging out that entire deposit of fire clay, and I have, in addition to a little bit left over in this chest here, we have 6 stacks of raw fire clay bricks. So let's go and see how many of these we can put down in here. So 1 stack and change. That's pretty cool. Now, of course, with so many fire clay bricks, that may mean that you need to go and collect more resources to actually fire them. You might need to go harvest some grass. Or maybe you're short on sticks. Or, if you're like me, you use your peat for a lot of other things, so maybe you're low on peat, or other fuel for that matter. But regardless, however much gathering of whatever materials you need, once it's all done, it is time to go ahead and fill up those pit kilns and get them burning. Step 1 of 5,000 complete. What's next? Well, as we know, or perhaps as a refresher from our previous iterations of using the bloomeries to smelt glass, or to smelt quartz into glass, we're going to need some high temperature fuel. And brown coal ain't gonna cut it. Brown coal cannot be used in a bloomery. So we're going to need to look to other options for coal. There's black coal, charcoal, or anthracite, which we don't have any of yet. Now, if you are extremely lucky like we are, then you might just be able to go and dig some black coal out of the ground. And there is somewhere that we know where there is a little bit of black coal, so let's go take a look at it. And here we are. Let's go light this up just a smidge. There we go. So here we have some black coal in claystone, and as you can see, it requires a tool of tier 3 or greater to break. So those copper pickaxes we got in the last episode, kind of useless. But black coal can be mined just like any other coal once you have the requisite pickaxe type, and as long as you are not a hunter, you'll get 1 and occasionally 2 pieces of coal per block that you mine. There we go, we just got 2 from that 1. I think it's about a 10% chance to get a second piece of coal, because I believe the drop rate is 1.1. But yes, so we can go ahead and mine this out to our heart's content, and we can then just shove this right into our bloomery if we want to. Now, black coal is great and all, but what if you don't have access to it, or what if you don't have a whole lot, like we do? Here we have now about a stack and a half, which means we can do about 15, maybe 16 bloomeries. That's not a ton of bloomeries given just how many bricks we've made, so we're going to burn through this black coal really fast if we use it. And black coal has some certain other uses that get very interesting. In that case, you can turn to charcoal, and I think it's time for us to finally use this charcoal pit we've never actually lit up before, and let's get some charcoal rolling here. Now, if you are looking to mass produce large quantities of charcoal, there are 2 main kinds of trees I'm going to recommend that you look for and harvest, and especially farm. One option is oak trees. Oak trees are great because occasionally they grow with a very, very large crown instead of branches, where you'll have a big old block, like a 3x3x3 block of logs here. Now this one clearly did not, but oak is also used for other things, for example, decoration, and of course, in the leather making process. So oak might not be your best chance unless you have a whole huge field of oak trees and you have plenty of materials for leather making, independent of whatever you use to turn into your charcoal. If you live in the tropics and you start seeing these great big kapok trees, you might be tempted to knock them down and turn those into charcoal. However, kapok and most of the other exotic tropical logs only give you 3 pieces of firewood for every log that you chop into firewood. So while you can, I don't really recommend it. If you live in a warm, rainy, but not too hot area, you might have redwoods around, or you might buy redwood saplings or seeds from an agriculture trader. Now, if you have infinite amounts of time to wait for these to grow, sure, they're a great source of firewood because they produce as many logs as 8 to 15 trees. But unless you live in a redwood forest, I don't really recommend it because you will be waiting a long time for these to grow. No, I think the most optimal tree for large quantities of firewood are actually pine trees, because they are a standard type of wood, so they will give you 4 firewood per log, and they grow pretty quickly. They offer lots of seeds and sticks, which you may use for other things. The seeds, of course, needed to replant and propagate your pine growths. And see, we already have 4 pine seeds already from, like, almost no work. And they tend to grow pretty tall. So they don't typically win the award for the most amount of wood you can get from a tree, but on average, I think they have more wood than most other tree types. With all that said, I'm actually going to get to harvesting all of these wood types, and I'm going to use a mishmash of them for our firewood, because we have a ton of birch, and while the birch trees themselves aren't very tall, we do have a lot of them, and I don't use birch for a whole lot else, so it's probably a pretty good candidate to turn into firewood. However, the larch has a special place in our heart, so we're not going to turn that into firewood. No, no sir. No siree. Anyway, I'll see all of you on the other side of this chopping job. Alright everyone, our little tree farm is looking a lot shorter all of a sudden, isn't it? And yes, zooming in, I can see nary a tree, except for our large trees, anywhere in it. Hey, look, our house. Anyway, once you have your wood of all the kinds that you need, and all of your sticks and extra junk put away, you can take a look at what kinds of wood you have, and figure out what ones are going to work best for your charcoal pit. We are going to go with a lot of the pine, like so, and we have a little bit of birch to use. We'll use some of this, sure, why not? And then I'll kind of mix and match, maybe from some more pine, use a bit of maple, the world's ugliest wood. And I'm not going to use the walnut or the oak. The oak because it's actually kind of scarce today, and the walnut because it is slow growing, so using it for firewood is kind of a waste. This should be enough, but let's go find out. Now, for doing your charcoal pits, I do of course recommend that rather than using your metal axes, you instead nap a few flint axes, preferably with bone handles for the extra oomph, but if not, that's fine too. And there we go. We now have 5 flint axes. This should do us. Let's go and grab our 1 piece of grass that we need to start our fire pit. And let's get to building this charcoal pit. Now, every 8 logs, as long as you're using the logs that give you 4 pieces of firewood per log, every 8 logs will give you 1 block, 1 stack worth of firewood. So you can easily tell that 1 stack here is going to do 1 column here, 1 2-block tall column. So we need basically 9 stacks of wood for this. So we only have 8 stacks of wood, which means I need to get another one. Let's grab some more pine. Now, you know what? We use less birch. We'll use the birch, and then we need a little bit for our final fire pit. So maple it is. So let's get to chopping. Whoops. I didn't realize it grabbed our bismuth axe instead. That's a shame. And then it is actually pretty easy when you have a lot of firewood to place. If you just stand on the stack and just keep placing it, you'll pick up the firewood as you go. Okay, now apparently I goofed a little bit. We didn't need that extra half stack of logs right there, but that's fine. We will go through this firewood eventually. And of course we're going to add our fire pit here. We have our charcoal pit. Let's go ahead and drop 1 there. Light you up. And then away we go. And then of course we can come back here and check. We have the initial smoke coming up, and in just a minute we should see all of these blocks giving us smoke particles. And there we go. We have our charcoal pit a-firing. Alright, well I'm going to go ahead and put on our second set of fire clay bricks for firing, and then we'll get on to the next thing that we need in order to get into the Iron Age. Alright, so we have our fire clay going, we have our charcoal going, we have a bit of black coal going. What is next? Well, we do of course need to be able to acquire our iron ore. And for that, we need some pickaxes. Now, as we discussed, these copper ones simply won't do. They just can't break the iron ore pieces out of the rock. Now, I will probably bring one of these along so we can sort of get through it, just to sort of get this out of our way. And I will mine out some regular stone with this as it is in our way. So, we'll bring it along. Mainly, however, we will need tin bronze pickaxes, or any bronze if you don't happen to have tin bronze. Bismuth bronze and black bronze will both work equally well. Now these will of course let us break the iron ore pieces, iron ore blocks, one by one. However, as you will find in the next episode, iron ore tends to form in large veins. So we might need more than one of these. In fact, we might need more than 2 and change of these. So why don't we go ahead and make a few more tin bronze pickaxes while we're at it, just to help round that out, to make sure we have enough to bring with us. Alright, Kurazar, I see you put 20 ingots worth of tin bronze in there. Why are you making so much tin bronze? Well, sure, we are moving into the Iron Age, so we should probably try to reduce our reliance on tin bronze. And we certainly don't need 22 and change tin bronze pickaxes. In fact, we only have 3 pickaxe molds. So why so much extra? Well, one reason is that iron is going to get us into something we haven't really had to deal with before, and that is anvil tiers. Yes. Everything metal in this game has tiers. In fact, everything metal and mineral has a tier system, and we are going to need to have a better anvil. See how our copper anvil says it is a tier 1 anvil? That means that it is made of copper, and it can be used to smith copper items, as well as 1 tier above it. So, bronze. Every anvil can smith up to 1 tier above its own tier. So copper can do up to tier 2, bronze can do up to tier 3, iron can do up to tier 4, because iron is a tier 3 metal, and steel, if there was a tier 5, then you could smith tier 5 items on a steel anvil. As it is, steel anvils only do up to 4, but only because there is no tier 5. So in order to get ready to smith any of our iron items, we're going to go ahead and make a tin bronze anvil right here, along with all of our tin bronze pickaxes, and I am a bit short on axes right now. I'm going to go ahead and make a few extra odds and ends, including actually some nails and strips, and the reason is that I've discovered that the furniture traders will actually pay a decent sum for small amounts of nails and strips. They will give you 1 gear for 2 nails and strips, so basically 2 gears per copper ingot, but they will give you 2 gears for 2 nails and strips, i.e. 1 gear per nail and strip, for any bronze types that you bring them. Well, assuming they want to buy any. So I'm going to make several sets of nails and strips to bring to our furniture traders and give to them for obscene amounts of gears. Now we still have some time while this is going on, so I'm going to go ahead and burn myself apparently, and do another set of fire clay in our pit kilns back here. And while your stuff is smelting is always a good time to do some nearby chores. I don't recommend going too far from home when you're looking for chores to tackle while you're waiting for things to smith. It's pretty full. Let's just... Gosh, we have no room in this house, do we? But yes, you don't want to stray too far because you don't want to end up coming back and finding that your crucible has either not been fed enough fuel, which is probably the worst of the 2 outcomes, or has cooled. At least if it's only cooled, then you only have to just heat it up once again. Alright, that should be about enough time. Yep, oh, looks like we wasted 1 piece of coal. Oops, did it again. Always do that. Let's get our anvil mold going here. Look at that. Yes, you will be what we do a lot of smithing on in the near future. And there we go. That's how to get rid of 9 ingots of tin bronze really fast. We'll do you guys. We'll do some of you guys. We'll do an axe, because I oopsied on the axes in there. And then we have 3 more left. I don't think there's anything pressing, so we'll just turn these into ingots, because you will still need bronze here and there occasionally once you're in the Iron Age for things like bronze plates, for decoration, or for certain parts that go into mechanical bits that you could use iron for, but why bother when you have bronze available? And there we go. We are just about ready to enter the Iron Age. Now, there is one last thing I want to talk about. It's going to require our black coal, because this is going to actually feed into how we acquire our iron ore, i.e. with pickaxes. This is a means of doing it without pickaxes. A while back, we bought some sulfur from a commodities trader, and we ground it up for bandages. We've also found some saltpeter. So we happen to have saltpeter, sulfur, and black coal. And together, with these powers combined, along with some linen and some flax twine, we can make blasting powder, like so. And then we can also bind that black powder into bombs, like so. And we get 8 for every 4 blasting powder. So you want to make your blasting powder in batches of 4 most likely. Do be aware that it uses uneven amounts of materials, so it uses 1 black coal, 2 powdered sulfur, and 4 saltpeter. So there you go. And that should be enough for 40 bombs, which should be plenty. Oh, 48 bombs. I knew that. I can count. And now, with our bombs in hand, we are ready to go and dig us out some iron from the depths of the earth and bring it home and get us smelting and blacksmithing. Anyway, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the episode and found it educational, especially if you are newer to the game or just needed a refresher on how to get into the Iron Age and what kinds of preparations you should make so you have a nice, smooth ride. Like I said, in the next episode, we're going to go and find some iron, and we may have found a huge ton of it recently. In the last episode, while we were adventuring, we came across a spot here that has ultra-high hematite at 7.6 per meal. That's probably in the native peridotite in the area here, so we can expect that to be probably pretty decently bountiful. And that will spring us into the Iron Age, hopefully forevermore. I hope you're looking forward to that journey. As always, my name has been Corazar. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.